Also, actively know what you want inside a conversation. Everything is for a purpose. There are actually three reasons we communicate.
Okay.
Um,
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Infinite Ability Podcast. I am your host, Nick Earhart, and we are here to encourage each other to find our own unique abilities. Let's go. All right, everyone. I have a really awesome guest, and I can't wait to have a conversation with him. So, Marcus, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you like to spend your time?
awesome. My name is Marcus Aurelius Hicks. That is actually my real name. um, a bit about myself. I was born in California, but I grew up in the Bahamas. I'm a third
Mm.
culture kid. Have you heard that term before?
No, I haven't. No.
Third culture kids meaning that there are many different meanings for it, but it means their passport doesn't necessarily match the country that they grew up with or identify with.
Mm.
My mom's from the Philippines, my dad is from the Bahamas, and I love communication. That's what I studied in university.
Mm-hmm.
Right after university, I went abroad to South Korea
Mm.
as an English missionary teacher, actually.
Oh.
Loved my job, loved doing what I did. And my worldviews changed. Still love teaching, so no animosity towards the church, no hatred or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I still have a connection with the divine, and but I went into teaching. Got my teaching training inside Thailand. Taught inside Spain after that. Then I went back to Thailand to get some more training. Taught in Saudi Arabia, and
Wow.
then after yes, Saudi Arabia, I went back to Thailand, and then now I'm back in the Bahamas with my aging parents. And that's a bit about my teaching career and profession.
Mm-hmm.
What do I do in my free time? I love reading, actually, reading and writing. So I guess reading and writing is just, it's your thoughts organized. That's what writing
Yep.
is.
Yep.
And that's what I do, having conversations. I did a lot of conversational English around the world, walked around the world, and met awesome people, and now meet awesome people in podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Podcast verse. And I'm a coach. I'm a communications coach for parents of preteens, helping them with their first identity breaking of their life. So I help parents be present with their kids and learning how to communicate so that they can nurture their preteen's potential. Yeah.
Wow. Well, number one, you've been everywhere, so that's
Not everywhere.
really cool.
The world's a big place. There are many more
It is.
places to go. Yeah,
It
yeah,
is. But yeah,
yeah.
you've gone a lot of places. You've done a lot, and I love how you're a coach now, helping parents with their preteens, because as most of us know, that age can be very difficult. So, what would be like one bit of advice that you would give a parent at that stage when they're just having trouble? Because you know, preteens, they can kind of be a little fussy, and they can just storm off and ignore you.
Well, I don't give advice unless I'm asked. So, what advice would I give? I wouldn't give any advice. But if they ask me,
Mm-hmm.
first is in all communication, understand your audience.
Mm-hmm.
There's this wonderful book called The Breakthrough Years. It just came out by Ellen Galansky. And she went around and she did this research asking teenagers, what would you like your parents to know? And in it, there are about 7 or 6 chapters. And one of them is oftentimes teenagers, well, I'll get into that in a moment, but I'll tell you the 3 things that I focus on in my framework, the show up
Okay.
framework. But I call it ICE. These are the problems that preteens have. Identity breaking.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding who I am. This is their first identity breaking. Because before this, they've been told by their parents, this is what the world is. This is how everything goes. And their parents' word is gospel. And then they learn a little bit more about the world through education or through social media or through peers inside and other parents in the community. And they're supposed to turn away, actually. It's a natural
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Hmm.
But they're figuring out, who am I? And that's
Mm-hmm.
all the hero's journey is. Again and again, it's asked, who are you? Who are you? So after identity breaking, there is collaboration mistrust. They don't know who to trust because their world was rocked and their reality doesn't match their thoughts now.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the definition of a person who is mad. I usually don't say crazy, but that's what it is when
Mm-hmm.
reality doesn't match your expectations. And
Yeah.
that's why it can be jarring to be a preteen or and coming into your teenage years. Um, so collaborative mistrust, that's when skepticism starts to grow at this age and nuance develops around 18. But
Mm-hmm.
adolescence doesn't end till about the early 20s. But
Mm-hmm.
that's why they're skeptical. They don't know who to trust, and they feel judged by everything because they're not doing it right. And oftentimes we put adult expectations on them.
Yeah.
The third thing is emotional management. Emotions do five things, and two of those things are they tell us how we feel in our progression towards what we want. Every
Mm-hmm.
character has a desire that they're moving towards. Our
Mm-hmm.
emotions are a reflection of how we're moving towards them or how we're not. And our emotions also give us a subjective well-being, or they're telling us how we feel about our well-being, right? Um, and when you're able to know yourself of how you're feeling in here, having emotional vocabulary, you can better manage the world, getting what you want, what you don't want, and collaborating with others. But if you're just starting this game of emotions, like you don't have any experience with that yet. So that's the next
No.
big challenge. So
Mm-hmm.
those three things, ICE. The advice I would give parents: know your audience. That's the advice you give any communicator.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say know your audience, every context is different. So as I work with different parents, we start to understand there's no meaning without context. So we get
Mm-hmm.
the context. And then know the desires of your audience, like know what they want. And if you know what a person's desires, then you can be in alignment with how they're showing up and how they're behaving and so on. So that's the start.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, that's the first start. There's a lot more advice we can give, but
Oh yeah,
that's a good
but
place to begin.
no, it's just it really shows like how important communicating is to communication. You know what I mean? Like, in order to effectively communicate with your kids, you need to know what they want, and that starts with communicating with them and getting them to open up and help you understand what they're going through and what they need. And that can be very difficult.
Well, the difficult thing is, and to add on to that, you're perfectly
Hmm.
right, Nick. Um, at a younger age, what you want really is you just want to be, right?
Yeah. Yep.
There are no social expectations on you except for when you come into your preteen age. It's just like, oh no, grades are how the world judges me now, or how the world
Yep.
measures me up. Um, Also, it's just like you feel as if you're losing your parents' love when
Mm-hmm.
actually, hey, they're pushing you away because I need you to be more independent, but you're not sure
Mm-hmm.
what this independence thing looks like.
Mm-hmm.
You're just, and if you don't know how to navigate it correctly, if there wasn't that secure attachment from before, um, yeah, you're just thrown in the deep end, to say.
Yep. Yep.
So you're right. They don't know what they want, and then they don't have the language to express they don't know what they want,
Mm-hmm.
and it's creating spaces of graciousness. And there's actually a way you can actually help them work through that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's by first. Would you like to know?
Well,
So,
yeah, of course. I mean, I know my audience would love to learn more.
awesome. What I start with is recognizing the virtues and values in people. Virtues are the 24 virtues that are with everybody. This is VIA, virtues in action. They said it's in every culture, every religion, every groups of people. It is what it is to be human. It's what keeps us. It's actually what keeps us human. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When you find people who express certain virtues, and because there are five that are our strengths, these are the ones that we express the most,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Such things such as gratitude, creativity, leadership, and so on. And you start virtue spotting. You look for them. When you look for it inside a kid, they start identifying with this virtue.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put onto it values. Values are what we feel are important. What's important to me? What's important to me and what's important to you are different.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we're in alignment of exploring ideas and thoughts and
Yeah.
gaining knowledge. So
Mm-hmm.
that's something we're valuing right now.
Yeah.
When you can connect on virtues and values, we start leaning into healthy risk taking. We start leaning into healthy growth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when you set up the context for the kid to explore this world with curiosity based on their virtues and values, that's when you're setting them up to express their potential.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Wow.
I said a lot. Thank you for being
Well,
gracious and
no, but
listening.
well, yeah, and it's interesting for me too because it's not just with kids either. A lot of this,
You're
and
right.
you know, communication is something that I've been working on myself. Um, Me a year ago, terrible, just terrible. Me now, meh, I'm okay, getting better, but not where I want to be. So it's something that I'm
Hey,
working on. So like getting knowledge from you with all your experience, you know, that's just like that means a lot.
can can I give you a different perspective just for a moment?
Yeah, I love
I
that.
I think for me in my view of you, you're
Mhm.
exactly. I understand you, and I fully receive not where you want to be, but
Mhm.
where I would like you to be. I have no control over your life. I would like you to be on the path of growth, and that's where you're
Mhm.
supposed to be. Because
Yeah.
just on a long enough timeline, then that's all that matters, and you're getting better and better and better. So I
Mhm.
feel you're where you're supposed to be on the pathway of growth. Yeah.
I agree with that. And a lot of things are like that in life. It's just as long as you're on the right path, that's what matters. So, I may not be where I want to be, but I'm happy with where I'm at.
Hey, and
So
and you're expanding into the next form of Nick.
exactly, exactly. And
Yeah.
the one thing that I'm focused on more right now than anything else is active listening.
Hey.
Don't listen to respond, listen to understand. You know,
Mm.
what are your thoughts on that? You got any thoughts on that?
Yes, and actively listen. And to actively listen, I would go over a framework with my students when I had them is thoughts, questions, and epiphanies. Right. So you're actively listening and you're seeking to understand. In doing so, you're saying, "Oh, the person is thinking this. The person is thinking this. I wonder," and then you fill in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because now you're dancing with their thoughts. That's what a conversation is. Conversare. Versare means to turn. Con means with. So you're turning with their thoughts, and you're noticing their thoughts, and then you're starting to actively wonder about their thoughts. And epiphanies are new thoughts that you didn't have before, but now you're having them because you're having this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And this is actually what critical thinking
Wow.
is.
Mm-hmm.
So listen to understand. There are going to be some things you don't understand. And when you don't, then that's where you interject with a question to be curious,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, or you build upon. And yeah, active listening, that is actually key. to communicating. Yeah.
Hmm. Wow. That was amazing. And it's things like that like you don't realize, you know.
Mm.
But it's
Tell
like
me about that.
so like I didn't realize like when you're having a conversation, you're listening, but then you couldn't questions yourself. But a lot of times you don't even realize it. And then, but I think we all understand like when you don't understand, you kind of get stuck on it. And like for me, what happens to me is like if I don't understand, I think about that, and then whatever the person says after that point is kind of gone. That's what happens to me a lot. So I'm trying to focus. Don't do it. Just let it go. Figure it out later. You know.
But my brother, who's a mathematician, he said the beautiful thing about math is for every one thing you learn, you realize there are 10 things you don't know. So your ignorance is exponentially growing. Now you have all eternity to explore your ignorance.
That's a way to put it. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, so actively listen and then also actively know what you want inside a conversation. Everything is for a purpose. There are actually three reasons we communicate.
Okay.
And this comes from Charles Duhigg's new book, Super Communicators.
Mm-hmm.
The first reason is just for an exchange of information. Like, I want this, you want that, and let's get this information over. The other one
Yeah.
is for emotional connection. So you remember that skit where that woman has a nail in her head and she's talking to her boyfriend about, I don't know why I have a headache. And he's like, it's probably
Mm-hmm.
because you have a nail in your head.
Yeah.
But but they're not looking for the solution. They're looking to emote or share their emotions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then the third one, quite honestly, I have to look it up again. But I think it is oh yeah, for social connection. They're just
Mm-hmm.
that is the empty conversation of how's the weather
Yeah.
and small talk and so on. But
Yeah.
when you know the purpose of the conversation, you can then actually be in alignment, and that's where
Mm-hmm.
clearer communication happens when we're in alignment towards a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's so important. Because like right now, me and you could just be rambling on about random stuff, but no, we're actually, learning from each other and communicating, and it's really really awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And with the audience in mind, right? So at the end of this
Exactly.
conversation, I want them to understand more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, how to communicate with not only people, with themselves and with their preteens. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. You just have so much to offer. Your knowledge is just incredible, and
Mm.
I would like my audience to know how they can get a hold of you and what you can offer them to help them.
Awesome, awesome. Um, Now these days, I'm mostly on LinkedIn,
Okay.
posting there, and I do have a workshop. It's called Mapping Out Your Family's Virtues and Values, working first from the identity of the family to create a culture is people like us do things like this,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing what's important for your family, so that as your child starts to form their own identity, they feel a part of it, but they also can feel as their own self. And then you're starting long-term conversations based on their virtues and values. But that's the first part of a longer 2-month program I have called the Show Up Framework. And the Show Up Framework, you can reach out to me and I can share it with you. I'm writing a book now actually about it. But it's start with
That's
a
awesome.
strong, yeah, start with a strong character identity, hold space for collaboration. We're
Mm-hmm.
talking about that. Open up communication. And then W is wonder and explore this world together. That's where we do
Mm-hmm.
projects and we bring their virtues and values to the projects, project based learning.
Yeah.
Um, and then up is unveil your potential. So as we go over um, 2 months of going through this program, and then you have a year-long coaching process back and forth to have check-ins,
Mm-hmm.
basically. So if they want to work together, they can reach out. But if you want to, yeah, see more of my work, you can follow me on LinkedIn, and that's where you'll find me most of the time.
All right, awesome. And I will put all your links down below so everybody can find you easily. It will all be in the show notes.
Definitely, definitely.
So, one last question.
Mhm.
What what does my slogan, "Your abilities are infinite," mean to you?
Hey, thanks. Two things came to mind. Um, we live in a field of possibilities,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe there are infinite possibilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
That can come forth inside the field. It's just you and I are aware of this that's happening at the moment. But when we stop to get curious, what else is possible?
Mm-hmm.
Um, we can start actually unlocking things. To think that electricity, AI, even these computers, like plastics and so on, these were all in the elements. But 100 years ago, 200 years ago, we didn't know how to put these elements together to make it possible to do what we're doing now. So I believe that we live in an infinite field of possibilities. That's one thing that
Mm-hmm.
came to mind. Um, Now, individually, there's this book by this positive psychologist called Sean Aker, and it's called Big Potential. Big Potential.
Okay.
And the whole premise of the book is our potential is expressed greatest when I bring my best and you bring your best.
Yes.
And and in doing so, you don't need a star player. Like you remember when LeBron, I don't watch basketball, but when LeBron and Durant and somebody else, they all went to Miami Heat and there were all these star players there, and actually they tanked. They didn't do so well.
Mm-hmm.
But usually, if you have a consistent team that executes well, is they have a star player, they have supporting
Mm-hmm.
players, they have a good bench, and everybody knows what we want, the objective. Again, we're
Mm-hmm.
in alignment, but everybody's bringing a different virtue, a different value, a different supporting role
Yeah.
that has more potential and more ability, to use your word,
Mm-hmm.
um, than just an individual. So
Yeah.
when we have infinite abilities, there's a lot we can do if we find people who are in alignment in creating team and collaboration. That's why
Yeah.
collaboration is going to be key with the advent of
Mm-hmm.
AI and so on. So that came to
Yeah.
mind as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that's how business and success works. You have to
Mm-hmm.
understand that you cannot do it alone.
Mm.
You you need help. You need people that you can learn from because we all don't know it all. You know, some of us think that we do, but most of us don't, and that's why
Yeah.
it's so important to build a culture in your company and even in your life. Like,
Mm-hmm.
be aware of the people you're around. Be aware and surround yourself with good people, people that you want to be like, or you want to help. Things like that. I think it's so important. So
Those
yeah, I,
relationships. Yeah.
hmm exactly. All right. Well, this has been really great, and I can't thank you enough. Like this was really incredible.
Thank you, Nick. It was wonderful speaking with you. Tell me about the quote above your head.
Yeah. So one day I was just sitting there, and it really just popped to mind. So my journey through self development is, it started with confidence. So you know, to me, success is not the key to confidence. confidence is the key to success. So if you're confident in yourself, your path will kind of reveal itself,
Hmm.
But a lot of people think that they need to be successful to be confident in themselves. But I think it works the other way. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
why
yeah,
I
yeah.
came up with that. Yeah,
Awesome. There has to be that inner expression before it's expressed or pressed into the outer. And you have to
exactly.
believe yourself by, that's what confidence means, confidere, with the trust. You have to
Hmm.
trust yourself.
Hmm.
Yeah, awesome.
Exactly. And
Uh,
for me, I think the best confidence tip I can give people
mhm.
is to be truthful to yourself with
All growth
everything you
begins
do.
with truth. Yeah,
Hmm. Yep, exactly. All
yeah.
right, this has been really great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Nick.
If you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and share it on your Instagram story and tag me in the Nick Heart. Also, go ahead and share it anywhere else that you see fit, because the only way that I can grow this is by you guys sharing it. I don't sell anything on here. I don't have any sponsors, so let's just get it out there by word of mouth and help more people. Alright, everyone, remember your abilities are infinite.